All right, welcome everybody. Dr. Keith here. Happy, what is today? Thursday. Hope you're all doing well. Good to see some of you. Excellent. Well, again, welcome. Today won't be too long. I just wanted to kind of let you know a few things that are going on. First, you should be seeing an email soon if you haven't already. I will be starting up my twice a month updates, market updates, on those Wednesdays. And so if you haven't seen those yet, you can always email support as well, and they can resend it to you or send it to you. But once we get over Labor Day, I'll be starting those back up for the fall. Hope you enjoyed your summer. It's always good to get back into the meat and potatoes of trading, which is the fall. Okay, so with that, folks, I'll get right to today's presentation. We're going to be talking about a new service that I'm starting and is geared towards more for flexibility for some of you. And so before we get going, again, always go ahead and read that. But basically what we're saying here is that you should be talking to your financial advisor. You should never take a risk that you can't afford to trade. As I mentioned all the time, there's a lot of reasons for it, but more than anything, if you're trading with money that you can't afford to trade, then typically, even from a psychology standpoint, it's just really tough and you're better off saving your money. Okay. All right. So with that, can you type in a 7 if you can see my slides okay and hear me okay? I want to make sure that I'm coming through loud and clear for everybody. Okay, I'm not seeing anybody type anything in yet here. Can you hear me okay? Type in a 7 if you can hear me, please. With that, folks, there's really what I'm looking at doing. I'm going to go in and, of course, the live charts here in just a few minutes. Everyone knows I prefer live charts to kind of demonstrate my points. But, during the summer, one of the things I've been doing, looking at the current environment and so forth, is even myself, I've been doing a lot more shorter trades because, the market's been more like this, right? Or, went down, then it comes back up. And so instead of me trying to have all my triggers off of a daily chart, okay, I also like to take triggers off a 4-hour. And again, the reason being is if I manage on a 4-hour, right, normally the trades are going to be shorter because, as you know, the larger the time frame, right, typically the longer you want to stay in that trade. I mean, if I'm going to trade off a monthly chart, I want to, I'm looking to stay into the trade longer than a day, right? Type of thing. And it's the same thing if you're getting in a daily, your goal is a few days to a few weeks. And then the 4-hour is, anywhere from a day to a few days, depending on how long it goes, right? Part of the service I'm going to be providing as well, it has specific stop and profit targets. But to me, one of the biggest advantages of how I trade anyway, and again, I'll show you in charts, most of you probably are aware of this, but a lot of people will say, okay, if this is a chart and let's say at $50, okay, there's a lot of support here. Okay, or in this case, let's call it resistance, where we're coming in, the price is going up, you're in a trade, but you're getting really, really close to that $50. Okay. Well, what a lot of traders do is they'll put an order out there and they'll get out at $50. Okay. And again, that doesn't mean that it's not going to come right back down and you made good money. Typically what happens though is, in a lot of cases, the trend will keep going. And what you're doing is you're kind of limiting yourself some opportunities to stay into the trade. So what I like to do is half of my trade, I like to take certain profits. And it's usually based off of my risk. So if I'm risking $2, my profit target one is usually $2. Okay. But if I'm then I'm going to try to stay into that trade as long as I can. And that's where I differ a lot from a lot of traders. And again, I use seasonality and Hackenacci to manage those opportunities we're going to show you. Okay. And also part of this new service is going to be a Sunday video where I give you my market analysis. It's anywhere from, I don't know, 8 to 20 minutes. It just depends, and the difference this one is I've done this in the past a little bit, but remember this new service I'm doing is only focused on stocks. Okay. And what I mean by that is that, ETFs and things, but it's not going to be futures or Forex. It's literally going to be just focused on the stock market. 93% of my followings are stock traders. So, once I was able to navigate through that data and understand it, I'm going to tailor towards the majority of the folks at what they're looking for. Okay. Okay, so here's an example. So one of the things with the new Alerta service, first of all, it's going to be using the Telegram app. Very easy to install on your iPhone or your computer or both. But the nice thing about that is you get secret access to my channel within Telegram, and then anytime I place a trade, you'll get an update. Okay, and so that way, if you're international, if you're in Australia or wherever you're at, Canada, if you don't get US phone rates, as long as you get the app from the App Store, you get access to this. Okay, and most countries have the App Store now. So whether you have an iPhone or whatever technologies you have, those of you that still like your physical computers as well, you can download it on your computer as well. Okay, but here's an example of what it's going to look like. And again, then I'll get into the good stuff with the charts. So if we're looking at like Merck, let's say I want to go short Merck. You get it on the Telegram app that Merck, MRK, that's the code, obviously, the symbol, short. And the reason I don't say exactly where short, when I put this out, that means I just went short. Okay, so that's a little bit different than what I've done in the past as well. Instead of saying, let's try to get in at this particular price, I wait until I'm taking a trade, and then once I'm in it, that's when I send it out. Okay, and then go immediately. I show you. Okay, I'm short, and my stop is 93. My target one is 87. Okay, and again, this is as soon as the trade is executed, you get this information on the Telegram. And then if you like to do options, okay, because another thing, as I was analyzing data over the summer, many of you still do option plays for obvious reasons, but many of you do stock plays as well. So what I'm going to do is, if there's a good opportunity from an option play, in most of the stocks that I look at, obviously options are an opportunity. I look at a lot of weekly expiration options. Okay, so if there is one, I am going to also put the optional trade out there from an option standpoint. So in this case, October 21, 2022, $90 put. Okay, again, it's not showing you, hey, what is the actual price to enter, because this is a trade that I'm getting into as soon as right away. You get the alert saying this is what I'm in at. Then if you want to place an option play instead, you have the option to decide, do I want to get in at that midpoint price of October 21, $90 put, or do I want to be more conservative or more aggressive, right? That'll be left up to you at that point. Okay, if you want to for sure get filled, right, you just go roughly of that 50 delta midpoint, you'll get filled. So again, I'll be taking most of my trades. Will be the stock, with the options will always be available to you. Okay. And again, I'll also note in there, is this a trade based off of a daily trigger? So like in this case, it was a daily trigger that had a seasonal downward movement. And following the Hackenacci, which will all make sense here in a minute when I show you. Okay. And that's just for this is more of an FYI. Okay. You don't have to remember any of that. You'll know when I exit part of the trade will be one of two. I'll either exit the trade. If my stop is hit, I'll exit the entire trade, right? So if you were doing an option play only, you could then say, okay, it hit 93, Dr. Keith's getting out. I'm going to exit my option play. Or if it hit profit target 1, right, I'm taking half of my trade off. And so, when price hits 87, I'm taking half my trade off. And then I'm going to let the other run based on the rules that I've defined, which I'll show you here in just a few minutes. Okay. And again, the trades are going to assume, I'm going to keep this as a tally for everybody. In the past, I haven't done that because I'm trading all markets. And honestly, I just didn't want to spend the time with all the different trades I do. But a lot of the great feedback I have from my customers was, one, they want trades off smaller time frames that they know they're not going to keep as long. And two, they want to see a running tally of the trades if you're a member. So no problem. That's what we'll do. Okay. So I'm going to assume, though, when I get into a trade, 2 shares, right? One will be the target 1 is when you get rid of 1 share, and then the not really a target 2, but when Hackenacci tells us to exit the second part of the trade, that's when I'll exit the second part of the trade. Okay. Or if we get stopped out, then obviously both shares will be exited at that price. Okay. So again, there's really never going to be any uncertainty. If we're in a trade longer than expected, it's usually because you're making money and you're staying in it, getting those runners. Okay. Okay. So let's move on with that. And a lot of this will become more clear as we get into the charts. So again, here's my goal, though. And this is a very important, I know it's a real basic slide, but it's really important. Small losses. So in order to really, because I know a lot of traders that go into alert services have a $5,000 to $10,000 account. Okay. And so the goal should be small losses. And if I have a stop at $50 on stock A, but if I got into the trade and the Hackenacci then changes direction on me, I'm not going to necessarily even wait for it to hit my stop. I'll then send an alert saying I'm exiting early. Okay. Because I want small losses, small as possible. You're also going to get small wins, right? It goes in both sides there. But where the account should grow is we're going to get some larger wins. Okay. How is that? Well, because we're following, in most cases, seasonal movement. Again, this service will also just give Hackenacci trades. And I'll say, it's not following seasonality, but it's a great Hackenacci 4-hour trigger. Okay. And if we like the risk and the reward, it's well worth it. Okay. And so the goal is small losses. So, that way, no matter what, you're getting these small losses. You may get 2 in a row, right? Or 3 in a row, right? Then you might get a small win, but then you get 1 or 2 of these, and that's what grows your account. All of a sudden, hopefully your $5,000 or $10,000 account is, at 12,000, 15,000, and you can steadily grow that account, by managing these trades with you. Okay. As an average, again, I don't even like to put this in there, but I do it because people obviously are going to ask how many trades a week. I'm guessing anywhere from 2 to 3 or 2 to 5 trades a week. It just depends on the movement of price. Okay. The fall is a great time to trade. So certainly that, won't be an issue. And again, some of them are going to be 4-hour triggers. Some are going to be daily triggers and so forth. Okay. But again, if I see more and I like it, I'll do more than that. I'm not just going to stop at a certain amount. But if there's a week where there's just not a lot of triggers, then there may not be, 3 to 4 trades at that point either. Okay. All right. So let me go into, bear with me 1 second. Let me go into the charts. All right. So again, one of the things that I want to show you is first, let me give you an overview of what I've been seeing lately. So with the SPY here on the daily, right, we had the nice move up. Now we're looking for a little bit of a pullback on the seasonality. we got a weekly red now at this point so far in the week, and we've had this pull down. Okay, so based on that, I'm definitely looking for some downside trades at this point, even though we had this move up. And so when I look at things like this to the downside, right, then I'll be looking for some of my favorite stocks based off of that. Okay, and that's really how I'm doing the service. So based off of that, I'll then look at some of my favorite stocks I like to trade for short side triggers, especially the ones that may meet the seasonal bias as well, right? All right, so here's an example just to kind of show you on a chart. So Merck has some seasonality to the downside. Okay, we had a Laguerre trigger and Hackenacci red. So when I was looking at this, this is basically what you'll be seeing only in the alert format that I was showing you, where I entered here at 90.1. Okay, but I have defined risk. Okay, my hard stop is right here at 93, and then my profit target 1 is 87. Okay. Now, usually what I'll end up doing is if we come like 3/4 down to profit target 1, I'm not going to turn that into a loser. I'll move my stop to break even, and I'll put that in the alert. Moving stop to break even. Okay, that's the goal. First of all, let's eliminate our risk. Then the second part of it is, let's say this comes down and hits profit target 1. So if I did 2 shares of stock, for example, right, I'm getting rid of 1. I took partial profits. But again, the difference between this and a lot of services is what we don't know at this point is how far is this going to go down. But as long as Hackenacci stays red now, again, the DAS will tell me as well, I'm going to try to maximize that win. Okay, I'm going to try to maximize that win. I've got the seasonality. I've got everything else going for me. So why take full profits here at 87 when potentially it could go even much lower, right? We don't know. And that's where managing the trade, I think, is going to be unique to all of you, where let's stay in some of that, at least part of that trade as long as we can in order to maximize those big wins. Okay. And so now let me give you some examples of that on the daily. So here's just some examples, okay, just to give you a feel for it. Yes, John, exactly. You're 100% correct. And so, the nice thing about an alert service is, if I'm doing 2 shares, right, obviously you can do as many as you want, right? If you have a $1 million account and you want to do, 1,000 shares, right, you can do whatever you want. But the bottom line is I'm managing it, and then you can position what you and your financial advisor agreed to. Absolutely. Okay. So here's an example where, this is something back here where I went from a yellow to green dot. Okay, that's an entry right there. We've got the weekly seasonal. It's a beautiful opportunity, right? So again, very simple. You get the alert, that basically I entered, and in this case, I entered at 95.33. The stop, right, which is a hard stop, is 87.50 right here. And then once we hit profit target 1, which right here, profit target 1 was hit, right, I'm out of half of the trade. Okay, I have an limit order out there to get me out of half the trade, right? Then I automatically move my stop to break even, right? You never want to turn any sort of winner into a loser. So now, when am I going to exit this trade, right? What is the date when I'm going to exit? I have no idea. What? Yeah, I have no idea. When I get a red Hackenacci dot, I'm going to exit the rest of this trade. Okay. Is it going to be at 114? I don't know. 120, 124. They're going to end up being 106. We don't know. But we want to stay in the trade and maximize it with no risk, taking half profits already as much as we can. Okay. That's how you build wealth. some of these trades, again, will be small losses, some will be small wins, and then you'll get some of those big wins. Very easy to manage. That's how you grow your accounts. Okay, that's going to be the focal point. So let's look at some more. We got plenty of time here. Marriott. Okay, same thing. So had an entry. It did, and now again, not every trade is necessarily going to have great seasonality, but if it's a good risk reward using Hackenacci, I'll do it. But this again had a nice seasonal opportunity. It had a Laguerre trigger right here, green Hackenacci. And what I liked about this was, you know, a recent low. So the risk is pretty low, right? So if this turned around, we got a couple red, even though I have a stop of 131 here, if I would have got a couple of red Hackenaccis and it would have been at 130, let's say 134. Okay, I'm still going to exit that and take a small loss. Even if it turns around, I'm still taking a small loss. I can get back in and I can do another alert for you all. But again, let's focus on small losses. In this case, you know, obviously it worked out nice. You hit profit target here, right? Profit target 1. And then you see the red dot right here. That was when I exited the rest of that trade. Okay. The rest of that trade. So instead of taking, you know, all profits here at 145, I was able to get up to 156. You know, and you can talk about different support levels and Fibonacci and all of that. That's great, you know, and many make money doing stuff on that, I'm sure. But the bottom line is my goal is to stay into the trade as long as I can. And that's what Hackenacci has allowed me to do, especially, you know, again, when you're following these specific rules. Okay, let's look at another one. In fact, let's go Las Vegas Sands, and now let's go to a 4-hour. Okay, some triggers are going to be off of 4-hour. So when I'm looking at shorter term opportunities here, here's an example where you can see again the Laguerre, the Hackenacci. Okay, so it's meeting the criteria. What I also like on the 4-hour, there is a pretty good stop loss based off of the recent low there. So my stop was 36. Okay, I entered at 37 or 17 right here. And this one hit profit target 1. So then again, when that happens, I move my stop to break even on half of my position. I'm out half my position. And now the goal is to stay into the trade until I get a red Hackenacci dot. Okay. We don't know when that's going to be. It could come back now and knock me out. But you know, what if it goes on for another week, right? We just don't know at this point, but we want to stay into the trade as much as we can, as long as we can, following these rules. Okay. Staying on the 4-hour, let's look at Delta Airlines. Same thing. So nice seasonal move anyway. So on a 4-hour trigger with the Laguerre, again, you can see what I love about this, right? Entering at 32.58, pretty small risk, right? As a stop loss. But if this would have turned right back around and I would have got a red dot, let's say right here at 32.50 or 32.20 right here. Okay, I would still put an alert out and exit that trade, take a small loss. Okay, let's get small losses because we know we're going to get some larger wins, right? That's the goal. Okay, that's the goal. But you all know going into the trade, okay, Dr. Keith's got a hard stop right here. He's taking half his trade off here. So if you're doing an option play, right, you would get an option idea as well. You know, you could do the exact same thing. You're in the option play, and then when I take half off at 33.41, right, you can take half your option play off if you want. I mean, you know, options work a little bit differently. Certainly with the bigger winners, your percentage are going to be higher. Percentage wins usually on option plays. But you have the time decay and everything else you're going to worry about as well. So you can go either or on that though, right? So based off of my recommendations here, you can decide Am I going to trade the stock? Am I going to trade the option? You know, and then your exit can be, you know, the same as what I'm doing with the stocks, if that makes sense. Okay. Again, let me know if you have any questions on that. All right, let's look at another 4-hour trigger. Type in the chat too, the ones that are online here today. What do you prefer? 4-hour triggers or daily triggers? Just out of curiosity. So here's a nice short trigger on Overstock. You can see the seasonality to the downside. And then we have the trigger right here. Okay. So again, you know, here's my stop at the high in this case. So it's from 32.32 to 35.58. You can also say, you know, as a trader, am I okay with that risk? If not, skip the trade, right? Or put a tighter stop if you want. But usually I do at least a 1-1 risk reward on half of my trade, right? So then once it come down and hit this, remember, I move my stop to break even, and so when was the exit of this trade? So once I hit profit target 1, you see the green dot right here? Right here was my exit of the rest of the trade, okay? So the rules are very simple, very simple. So a lot of you like 4-hour triggers. That's great. That's great. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the daily. And let's just look at some of these. So let's look at like AMD. Here is an example where I just recently traded this and I had a pretty tight stop. So I entered at 93.55 at a $96 stop. And the reason that was so tight was, you know, we had flat top red, and this is a short play, by the way. Okay. So, you know, this looked really good to me. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to be wrong, I want to be wrong quickly, take a small loss. Okay. And if it would have came and started that trend back to that downside, that could have potentially been a nice win. Instead, small loss. Okay. I still like AMD going shorter here soon, but you just to kind of show you when they don't work out, you're looking for small losses. Okay. Okay. Now let's look at like Berkshire. So you can see here, right? We got something brewing on the daily. We got seasonality to the upside. Right now, I'm just waiting on a trigger. Or when I'm looking for some good shorter term plays, you can then look at that 4-hour, right? So I didn't take this. This is just a trade that I'm just looking on the 4-hour. So once you got the Laguerre, and you get a green Hackenacci. Okay, you see that? So then you got a green Hackenacci dot. That's the entry. You can see this would be a stop loss, right? So if you entered here, your stops here, that means you already hit your profit target if you had it, let's say right here. But again, then you can stay into the trade with a break-even stop with half of your trade until you get a red dot in this case, right? Again, that's the goal of the service. Small losses. You know, there will be some small wins as well, obviously, but then try to get some of the bigger wins, okay? All right. Yeah, so those of you that are asking. So yeah, so I'll put in the chat if you're interested. Let me just go back to the slides. I didn't want to just do a promo without doing a webinar on it, but you know, this alert service is for a year. It's $8.99. You save $99. Typically, after the launch period's over, you know, it's going to go back to $11.99 for the year. But I wanted to give between now and Labor Day, you know, the special deal there. And I put the link in the chat if you're interested. Again, let me go back up to the PowerPoints here. Bear with me. Okay, so $8.99. That is the link right there. It's in the chat. What questions do you have, folks? And this is mainly from all your feedback this summer. Excellent. Yeah, so again, the goal is exactly the goal here is exactly what you said, is to have, you know, more frequent trades. And so when, you know, let me bring up the charts again. So, you know, let's say you're looking at, you know, I love Amazon now, right? Now that it's split and it's just a great trading. So if you just looked at some opportunities with that Laguerre and the Hackenacci, I mean, there's just so many of them on that 4-hour chart. You know, I mean, this was a recent one right here on Amazon. Laguerre, green dot right here. Oops. Too much caffeine today, I guess, right? Right here is the entry right there. But here's a beautiful thing, right? We can do, okay, well, hey, if it breaks this 132, let's just get out, right? It'd be a small loss. So if you entered at 134 and you have a 132 stop, right, then 136 is a profit target. So now you already hit profit target 1, right? Move your stop to break even, and now we'll see if this can run, right? If it doesn't, yeah, you have a small win. But if it does, if it comes up back up to 144, you just turned a low risk trade, low risk, high probability trade into a nice runner, right? And that's the goal. Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm looking for, this alert service and so forth. Okay. All right. So again, if you haven't joined my twice a month weekly webinar update, please do so. We'll send that out again just so you can register. That'll be starting after Labor Day. Look forward to having those fall interactions with everybody. I missed it this summer, but it was great spending lots of time with family, a lot of riding and so forth. But now I'm ready to get back to it. So hope you enjoy, folks. If you have any questions, let me know. This is being recorded, and I will send this out as well. Okay. All right, folks. Good luck, everybody. So can this be used for futures day trading? This alert service itself is only going to be stock and options. Okay. So, you know, if you're, but, you know, depending on how you look at it, you know, if all of a sudden I do a USO trade, right, then you can look at doing a crude trade and so forth. But yeah, no, this is focused on 93% of my clients are stock traders and option traders. So this service is so I can focus specifically on that. Can I show a CL trade? Sure. Okay, let me do that real quick. What time frame? 4-hour good, or do you want a different time frame? So on the 4-hour, I had a nice trigger right here on crude. And you can see the exit point right here at this close. Yep. So that's a pretty nice trade, right? Let's call it, just for easy math, okay? Let's call it 90.70, and you exit at, I'm just gonna do 94 for math, okay? So let's call that $3. Okay, I know it's not, it's actually more, but right, that's $3,000 a contract. Yep. Yep. All right, no problem. All right, well, again, I wish you all the best, and if you need anything, reach out. Other than that, I'll see you on the next update. Take care, everyone. Bye now.